Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're following this series, then you know that I bought a 1999 Porsche 996 with the intention of driving it every single day. I'm excited to deliver this update because I've caught up on all of the preventative maintenance, all of the deferred maintenance, and now I can really get to the point of the fun trips to the mechanic. Today we're picking up on where I ended my last video and also diving into a few aesthetic upgrades on my car. If you watched my last video to the end, you would know that we kind of closed with a cliffhanger. This rattling sound coming from the exhaust somewhere in the muffler.
Yeah.
The great news is we are dealing with that today. You might also remember that my horn has been giving me issues pretty much the whole time I've had the car. I also have an update on that. I also had a bit of a mystery leak, which we deal with, and I get on top of some of the aesthetic things and touch-ups that I wanted to do to the car. So by now there's a few things to do, and it felt like it got to the point where there was enough to justify a trip down to Ruben, the mechanic's place, to kind of get him to do a few things all at once. Given I had a trip overseas planned, I thought that was the perfect time to leave my car, not worry about needing it, and pick it up when it was all done. And if you're wondering where I went to the country where this car was first delivered out of Germany, Japan. So I took my list of issues and things I wanted done to Ruben at Northern Modern and Classic, and I left the car there. And as I've learned at this point, car issues like to socialize, they like to make friends, and they kind of happened this trip, but it wasn't as bad as you're thinking. So I'm back from Japan, my car's back with me, and I've got an invoice from Ruben. Let's go through it and have a look at everything that we did, from the busted exhaust to the busted horn to the busted leak, and the fun things that we did to my car. First up, the bits and pieces. There are a few bits of trim and plastic that were really in dire need of replace or just outright ugly, and so I wanted them gone. First up, the horn. So one of the first things I noticed when I got the car back was that the horn wasn't working, the fuse was blown. At first I thought it was the fuse, then I thought it was the airbag assembly being busted, which it evidently was, causing the wires to press down and the horn to go off. When I picked the car back up last time, the horn was working, but when I actually did long presses, meaning a bit more of an aggressive horn press, if you will, the fuse was then shorting again. And so I knew something was wrong. A bit of research revealed that it could be either some wiring, which would be pretty devastating to be honest, or it could be something to do with horn. Now there's an easy way to tell. We put a new fuse in, press the horn lightly, don't blow it. Keep an ear out for whether or not you've got the high and low horn tone sounds. I only had the low tone, meaning I had no high tone. So that was an obvious place for us to start. And because the 996 has two horns, a high tone and a low tone, it's easy to work out which one was busted. Essentially, with one horn gone, it causes everything to short, fuse blows, and it's a vicious cycle. So Ruben ordered a new high tone horn assembly, chucked it in. It was about an hour's work. You have to take the front bumper off and mess around it a little bit. Not a nothing job and not a huge job. Like all things Porsche, they rarely sell you just one part. When it came to the horn, there was the horn assembly and then there was an adapter cable. It wasn't a huge job. It was a couple of $100 in parts and a couple of $100 in labor. You do have to take the front bumper off to put it on. Not disastrous, but a couple of $100 already on the bill. The next thing we dealt with whilst we were at the front of the car was the front latch cover, which is the sort of plastic trim that goes around where you sort of open and close the front. On my car, the plastic was just disintegrating. It was crumbling, it was falling off, super ugly and probably not water resistant. If you do want to store anything in the front, I probably don't want water getting in there. So function aside, the aesthetics was more than enough reason for me to want to get that sorted. And so we did. That front piece of trim, OEM, was just over $200, which honestly is less than I thought it would be. The next piece of plastic trim that we dealt with was the windscreen scuttle cover, that piece of plastic that sits underneath the windscreen. This is a pretty common piece that actually breaks. In my case, it was not broken, but it was super faded. It was basically grey when it should be, like a dark black plasticky color. I tried a few different trim treatments, and none of them were able to sort of bring it back to life. Sometimes it works really well. In this case, I thought in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's just do it. And worth doing because it does give the car like a really nice newer look to the front. Of course, being an OEM part, it actually had to come from Germany, so it took a little while to get in. And I had to also order a few other parts. There was cap trims and retaining nuts. It was about $300 in parts, which again, it's a big piece of plastic. It's pretty niche, not disastrous, a bit cheaper than I thought it would be. And not a huge amount of labor. It's a pretty quick job for Ruben to sort out. I was going to do it myself, but given the other things that were happening, it just made sense for him to order it and for him to put it in. The other thing that we got to the bottom of whilst the car was with Ruben was this mystery leak that I had been experiencing. Initially, we thought, based on where the leak was coming from, that it was probably power steering fluid. We also checked the fluid coming out of it, and it was quite thick and a little bit red, which sort of does resemble that power steering fluid. Turns out it was not power steering fluid. And the real culprit was a leaky transmission. Specifically, the differential output seal was leaking. So it was a case of getting a new seal and getting it installed. It was about $100 of parts and about an hour of labor. He did this when he was taking the mufflers out, so the car was already going on the hoist, and it wasn't a huge task. But you can see how these things start to add up. Maybe another $300 of work there. And that's because you have to do a bit of work. All in all, not a massive job. I mean, you do have to take bits of the transmission and the drive shaft out to replace that seal. It's about $120 in parts, but it was sort of done at the same time that the mufflers came off. So I think he spent about 3 hours in total dealing with the leak and removing the mufflers from the car and putting them back on, which leads me to the fun part. It doesn't sound fun, but getting that muffler repaired also came with an opportunity to make that muffler sound better. We had a look at replacement mufflers. They were several $1,000s per side. It was going to be like $6 or $7 just to get OEM mufflers on. That didn't make sense. However, Ruben's got a guy and he is very handy with muffler repairs, but he also can do muffler mods. Anyway, he reckons that for about $800 he could cut the muffler open, re-weld it, fix it, and then put it back together. I like that. It's more eco-friendly. It's better for the environment, and it's better for my wallet. Ruben's fabricator also suggested doing the legendary Gundo Hack to basically make the car exhaust sound better. The cost of getting this muffler repaired and doing the Gundo Hack was about $1,600, which I think is pretty good. It's less than a single muffler, miles ahead on that front. If you don't know what the Gundo Hack is, there's plenty of videos on YouTube. Matt Watson from Carwell did it with his 996, and there's heaps of really in-depth videos of how to actually do it. Let me just say this. If you have a 996, it is the best modification I think you can do, worth every penny. So what is the Gundo Hack? Basically, it's a very popular and cost-effective mod to the 996 exhaust. Essentially what's involved is welding a small bypass pipe that allows some of the exhaust gas to completely bypass the internal sound deadening chambers. The result? Listen for yourself. But it gives the car's flat six engine a deeper, louder, more aggressive exhaust note. It's really noticeable. Yeah, I mean, it sort of mimics that expensive Porsche sports exhaust that everyone knows. So the fabrication was outsourced for about $1,600. Ruben bundled this up with the transmission work, so it was about 2.5 hours of his labor, which is really, really good. Like, it's not an easy job taking the mufflers out and sorting all of that out. This is, again, the best money I've spent on the car. Interestingly, when the fabricator did have the muffler open, you can really see what was causing that rattle.
There's the split. There it is.
The piece of pipe that, you know, should be a cylinder within the muffler was basically split down the middle. He sort of looked at it and said, I don't think this was ever welded together, but, you know, it must have been. There was some unfortunate placement where he basically cut it open, realized that the seam of the pipe was facing the outside of the muffler, so he had to weld it back together and then come in from the outside, which was quite interesting. You can also see how he did the Gundo Hack, and it's pretty clever. His welds are very, very good. If you need a guy to do this in Melbourne, contact me or contact Ruben, and please get it done. As the best like $2,000 you'll spend. I cannot say that enough. Like, an exhaust was something I'd ummed and ahed about. It wasn't high on my priority list, mostly because aftermarket exhausts are very expensive in Australia. We don't have lots of options, but anything worth doing was sort of like $6,000 to $10,000, which, given what I spent on the car, given what I paid for the car, and given where I'm at, it didn't make sense. However, given we were already doing some muffler fiddling, this made perfect sense. So all of the muffler repairs and the Gundo Hack were done for about $2,000. There are a couple of other things on my list that were aesthetic things. that I wanted to get sorted whilst the car was in. The first was the door jamb vinyl rub trim, which is a little piece of plastic in the door jamb. In my case, they were sort of black, coming unstuck and pretty ugly looking. Very cheap part, $15 each side, which actually, no, for a plastic stick is pretty expensive, but hey, it's Porsche. When Ruben was taking them out, he used a heat gun, he did his best, but they did take some paint off. So there was a bit of touch-up paint and a little bit of detailing that happened on the door jambs. The other thing, and this is an annoying added expense to my build that I had never planned for. So a couple of months ago, I noticed that the rubber trim around the third brake light, which is the one in the middle, was dangling off and had come unstuck. This was pretty common, so common in fact that a place called Renfix makes like an aftermarket one that you can just take the brake light off, you glue it around, and you put it back in. And they've sold thousands according to their eBay account. So on all accounts, seems like a great aftermarket product and a pretty well-known problem. So I'd ordered one on eBay, took a little while to get here, came in, and I just said, Ruben, can you just chuck this on when you're doing everything else? I don't want to deal with it. And he said, of course, I've never seen this before, but it seems like a great solution. Anyway, when he was taking the brake light out, the actual red brake light plastic crumbled in his hands. It was just soft and weak, and I think I have video of it. If not, I've got photos, but it was just completely worn out. Again, old plastic parts, exposed to sun, exposed to the elements. This is going to happen, and I've seen it happen in other bits of the car, but on the brake light, when I wasn't expecting it, that was unfortunate. The common theme here with Porsche parts is, you guessed it, assembly, assembly, assembly. And this was no exception. A new high mount brake assembly for that third brake light was about $530 from Porsche. Of course, you have to go OEM because it's a random plastic part. And that seal that I spent, I don't know, $70 on eBay from Renfix is also now, sitting on a shelf. And if anyone needs it, they can buy it off me or you can have it. I don't know. I don't need it. But that was another sort of $500-600 added to the bill that was not meant to be there. So this stuff happens. It's not the end of the world. It's no one's fault. It's just old car things. I'm okay with it. New brake light looks better as well. So, I'll take that win. Now, it wouldn't be a Porsche video if not for an unexpected surprise. I've just come back from Japan, been home for a few days, just got settled, and I was moments away from Ruben's shop, ready to pick my car up, when he called me. And he said, I've just been vacuuming, I put the chair back, and now I won't move forward. The fuse is blown, it keeps blowing, I don't know what's going on. And I said, I'm down the road, I'll come have a look, maybe we can figure it out. This was like 7 p.m. at night. I was really pushing my luck here. Anyway, the seat control fuse was blown and it kept blowing. We'd replace it, it would blow. He'd replace it, it would blow. So we took the seat apart.
Because I moved the seat forward before to vacuum the back, and then I just went to move it back. I was like, oh, the seat's dead. Put a fuse in it, blew straight away.
Yeah, so that board should be fixed to the ground somehow.
I think.
Or at least
it should. Well, it shouldn't be moving with the seat, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then you can see where it's pressed into the cable.
You can see where it's been crushed. Like
and
that.
That'll kill it. Hey, at least the horn works.
It does, yeah. And it's...
Whoa, get out my way.
Jammed under the bloody base, yeah. I guess it is meant to be there, I don't know. Yeah, why's the cover off it? Why was it jammed against that motor? That doesn't seem right. Unless it is just that it is meant to be there and the cover's off. Maybe the DVD player was down there. Like I said, I'm not as familiar with this side as I am the other. This doesn't seem right.
Okay.
I can't imagine that's right. See how that's moving? Well,
yeah.
Well, it seems
just
to...
lodged.
I don't understand this, because it seems to be mounted in this bracket pretty well. Maybe it is.
You think that's just jammed in there?
That was jammed before, yeah. I think I'm right in that should be down there, and it's obviously wasn't fixed to the floor properly, and it's just picked it up and pushed it along.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
it's been scooped.
Does the front lifting is that one that's
disconnected?
You can go up at the back, that might help.
Oh yeah, yeah. Look at that. Release me. Oh, and it's pushing down those cables too, which can't be right.
No.
Like those cables there are getting crushed.
Fuck me.
Up there, you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably not good,
Might
is
have
it?
been, yeah, it's probably been cut by this. That edge there is quite sharp.
I say we, but it was mostly Ruben with me shining a torch. What we found was the seat control module had become dislodged and it was effectively shorting the seat control motor. Now, it wasn't that easy to figure that out because finding a diagram of actually how this seat control module should sit and where it should sit took a little bit of Googling, but it was in the wrong spot entirely and it had been removed from the position that it should have been in. It is fixed basically horizontally under the seat. In my case, it had been rotated 90 degrees, and when the seat moved, it was getting crushed up and causing the motor to short. It was super weird. The seat sort of came out in various stages, figured out where to put the control module back, gave it a bit of extra tape, and then put the seat back together. How did this happen? Sort of racking our brains as to how this happened because it is fixed in a certain position and it's mounted. The only thing I can think of is when I had the head unit done in the car, the AV guy mentioned to me that he took a DVD player out from underneath the car seat on the front driver's side. So perhaps when this happened, the control module came out and it was put back in the wrong position, or it was just sort of left there dangling. I'm not sure. I haven't had the best experience, so I'm not going to ask. Either way, this was another unexpected hour of labour added to the bill. When you sort of look at what was going on with the internals of the seat and where the module was and how wires were getting crushed up, there was potential for something really, really bad to happen here. So I am grateful that it happened at Ruben's shop. It's like, it's like if you're ever sick, you want to be in a hospital, like the perfect place for something to go wrong because he's the guy who'll be able to fix it. But when you see just how entangled everything was and how messy it was a disaster waiting to happen, and I am so glad that it happened there, as opposed to me getting home and then absolutely losing my shit and not be able to drive the car. It could have just been so expensive and so inconvenient. So I think that's a bullet dodged in the end. So where does that leave me dollar-wise for this most recent trip to the mechanic? Well, $4,602.96. Fair bit was covered and there were some fairly expensive parts. Let's not forget that more than half of that was modifications and aesthetic upgrades as opposed to, things that really needed to be replaced. It could have just gone in for the transmission seal leak and been done with it. So this was very much elective surgery and I do appreciate that. Over half the bill was sort of the exhaust and various plastic pieces. It comes with the territory. Sometimes when you're taking old car parts off, they break. It's okay with me. Overall, I am very happy to be at this point with the car where I'm sort of picking and choosing things I want to get sorted, and I'm already thinking about what I might do in the new year when my wallet recovers from this year, to be honest. The immediate things on my hit list are getting the wheels refinished or finding some new wheels. I'm not sure which way to go there. I kind of like the original look of the wheels. I might get them refinished and get some new center caps. And then the other big thing is the nicks and scuffs in the paint. I'm not sure what to do. I'd love to be able to say a respray makes sense. It doesn't. I'm not that faithful in sort of exterior touch-ups. I just don't know how good it will be. But I need to sort of make up my mind there so that I can get the car, touched up, paint corrected, and then get on with driving. And most importantly, we are at a point where I don't have an issue with the car, touch wood. That's a bad thing to say as a Porsche owner. But I am. I'm at a point where it's running perfectly. I don't have squeaks and creaks. It sounds really good with that new exhaust, and honestly, again, for the fourth time, if you have a 996, seriously consider it. It is just like the best money you can spend. If you're on a similar journey or you found this interesting, let me know in the comments. I love chatting. And if you think the Gundo hack was worth it, let me know. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. I think it sounds pretty good. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time with another update.